show of hands here, who actually loves working? Like, who really loves work?
I love work.
Okay.
Right. Swear word, what?
I'm a bit surprised. I'm actually surprised that there's so many hands up. So, my name's Alyse Sue, and I'm one of the co-founders of Transhumanism Australia. Today what I'll be talking about is the future of work, and specifically I'll be talking about developments that are accelerating us towards total job automation. So why I've chosen to focus on this particular viewpoint, because there's a lot of differing viewpoints on what people think the future of work will look like, is just because there has been a lot of media attention on this particular topic recently. So I'll keep my talk to about 10 minutes, and I like to leave about 5-10 minutes at the end for Q&A, because I'd really like to get your input on this as well. So, I want you to meet this guy called Zhao. He's 25 years old, and he's all alone in a Chinese warehouse with only robots for company. And that's not because China has a shortage of women. It's actually because he works in a warehouse that is completely automated by robots. So this particular warehouse is about the size of 7 football fields, and it also ships and packs about 300 boxes each day. And it's all done by robots. So there's no human involved in the process, although there are 4 humans who just babysit these machines, and Zhao just happens to be one of them. So this warehouse is actually owned by one of the e-commerce giants called JD.com. So Zhao is actually helping JD.com roll out this automation to their other warehouses, because this is just one of them that they have. So this is really telling, because it kind of shows us that once you have the procedures and the processes and the technology and the learnings in place, you can easily roll out automation to other locations and also other functions, so that eventually you may end up automating your entire business. And China's actually one of the fastest growing adopters of automation as well. And this is largely due to the fact that Chinese companies get incentives for buying robots. So in 2016 alone, they actually bought a record number of robots, 87,000 units, which is more than US and Germany combined. So this is me, a picture of me at one of my family farms, which uses hydroponics. And then this is a picture of Spread, which has taken hydroponics to the next level. It's a fully automated lettuce farm that is run entirely by robots. That's based in Kyoto, Japan. So this farm harvests about 30,000 heads of lettuce each day. So robots plant the seeds, they also water it, monitor it, and also are able to crop the lettuce heads as well. So what we can see here is the next level of robotics. So robots from the last decade or so have mostly been single purpose and single use, single task. But increasingly we're moving towards robots which are multi-purpose and which can perform tasks in an end-to-end process. You've also got research and consultancies like McKinsey, who've said that they predict up to 800 million jobs will be lost worldwide by 2030. And then you look at Australia, what's happening here? So in the banking industry alone, you've got NAB, who are slashing up to 6,000 jobs, in the next 3 years. ANZ has already cut 5,000 jobs. And then you've got Citibank, who are cutting 13,000 jobs, some which are based here and some which are based in the States. And then you look at the tech industry, and that's not safe either, because you've got HP who are cutting 5,000 people over the next year or so. Microsoft has cut 10,000 people, and then you've got IBM who've also slashed about 20,000 jobs in the last couple of years. So it's not just happening in individual companies, it's actually happening in entire industries. And when that happens, you just don't have enough jobs available or being created at a fast enough pace to be able to have a role available for the unemployed. So in the face of impending doom, some people have come up with or proposed a couple of solutions to this. And one of them is tokenization of assets. So what that is converting a right to a real life asset into a token that sits on the blockchain. So if you had a car to sell and you wanted to sell it for about $10,000, maybe there's not a lot of buyers out there because they simply can't afford it. But if you were to break it up into little bits and pieces, say in 10 equal parts, and convert them into a token, which you sell for, say, $1,000 each, you may actually attract a larger number of buyers and also increase the likelihood that you get the money that you like for it. So in medieval Europe, a lot of peasants were craftsmen and they worked for themselves. So they were producing boots, leather and bread. And eventually in the future, we may return to a model that's very similar. So you could actually sell tokens in anything that you produce yourself, such as your writing or any artwork you produce. You can fractionalize any assets that you have. And up here, you can see on this slide, there's this poster. So this poster is actually sitting in a subway in New York. And this poster is advertising this artist called Casey Pearl, also based in New York. She's an independent blockchain artist. And what she's selling is tokens in her art. So it's already happening right now. And one of the trends in crypto world right now that's driving tokenization is stable coins like Tether and Gemini. Another solution being proposed by some is universal basic income, or UBI. So what that is a basic payment which everyone is entitled to, which you receive regardless of your assets or your income, and which is just enough to cover basic needs such as food and rent. So in Finland, they've just completed their 2-year trial with it, although they haven't yet released results. And you've also got some trials which are about to launch in Scotland, in Glasgow and Edinburgh. And in the States, you've also got the experiment, which is being run by Y Combinator, which is one of the most famous startup accelerators. So they are funding a 5-year experiment into UBI in Oakland. And then across the other side of the world, you've got India, where their chief economic advisor said it's very likely that in the next 2 years, 2 Indian states will start implementing UBI themselves. So the previous 2 solutions look after our basic needs, but we've also got to think about our mental health as well. Because with the loss of jobs, people will start feeling a loss of purpose as well. So quite a few people, including the best-selling author Yuval Noah Harari of Sapiens and Homo Deus, and even Mark Zuckerberg himself, has proposed that maybe we need to reclassify what a job is and also start creating communities around that. So for example, we could think of mentoring the youth or looking after the elderly or even cleaning up the environment as jobs in the future. And this is important because it'll start giving people a sense of purpose that they crave. So that kind of leaves me at the end of my talk, but I'll leave you with a video on a robot chef. If you'll play. One
Pick the mid
second.
one.
Technical issues. How to play.
Robot cooking. Make
would you
me a
like to-
sandwich. What's that?
Nope.
Yep.
Alright, that's okay.
Okay.
I'll
Put it on
post
YouTube.
it. Yeah, I'll post it up on the group later. But yeah, I'd love to get to know each of you, and I'd love to stay in touch. So you can find me on LinkedIn under Alyse Sue. And yeah, this is Q&A time. I'd really like to hear what you guys have to say.
Give a round of applause first for Alyse.
What do you think about the power draw required by blockchain?
Power. Yeah, that's a bit of a
The
problem.
energy requirements?
I'm actually not a blockchain expert here. I believe Nathan is. Yeah. So, did you want to answer?
Yeah, come on, you're next speaking anyway. So it's okay.
Okay. Yeah, like Bitcoin uses a lot of power, but I'll fix that eventually.
Yeah. There you go. So, I had a question. Yeah.
Should Australia ban robots?
No, we should embrace it.
Ban robots? Yeah.
Why do you think we
It's,
should
artificial intelligence, so the people will have purpose in life.
I think robots should ban me.
So we can be more behind than the MBMers left
Why do you think that we should ban robots?
I don't think that we should, but it could be one of the solutions to the problem you mentioned, that the people might lose.
No, we've got to ban the American ones, you see. The first operating robot machines from America wanted world domination and to put us all in a zoo. Whereas Japan, they want to know emotion and they want to feel love.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's just inevitable because if other people are doing it, you kind of want to keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks for the talk. So, from my perspective, and seeing a lot of automation in the industry that I work in, and a lot of failed automation in the industry I work in, and even in the context of recently Rethink Robotics going out of business and obviously trying to reduce the first cobalt, I guess I've come to the understanding that it's not a technological problem that we need here, it's a cultural solution, and you kind of touched on that at the end of your talk there. What do you think are some practical and realistic methods that we as individuals or we as communities can engage with to build that new cultural energy that we'll need to foster as we enter into this fourth industrial revolution that everyone's now talking about, which is going to by necessity require different ways of us thinking about economic transactions, economic relationships between ourselves and our employers, and even just the very fundamental way that we think about ourselves as individuals in society. Because otherwise, what's going to happen is the people who control the capital are going to be the ones who get all the benefits from this automation. So I was wondering, the question is, at the start I said, what are your perspectives on how we can build that cultural energy?
Yeah, that's a really important point that you raised. So I think it's really important for people to be aware and be involved in conversations which will shape their life, rather than just going along with what society dictates. So it's like participating in conversations right here, right now, like this, being more involved and interested in politics as well is very important, I believe. Otherwise, you will just feel that all these changes are happening, but you didn't have a say, or you feel like it just came upon you and you were not aware of it. So I think early awareness of what's happening in society, but also the need to participate in conversations and be interested and involved in politics is one of them.
Oh, one more question?
How long do you think it will be before we can breach the 60-year advancement gaps in technology? When do I get my cyberpunk nanobite upgrade? Because I really want to be able to dodge bullets.
I think like some of that.
And read people's minds and dream.
Yeah.
Elon Musk's doing his neural lake, so maybe.
Yeah, he's coming.
Yeah, but you're going to be willing to pay for it.
It'll cost 100 grand.
What will you pay for it?
I'm worth 800 million according to the SS in Canada, Australia's asset stock of music industry towards like.
So I find there's a lot of tech out there. We've got Biocard, we've got a lot of neural interfaces, we've got so many things. They cost a shit like. So
They
the
wouldn't
tech's
if
here.
we reformed the law.
The problem is everyone wants to sit there and go, can I just line up and get in the line where they just hand it out? And I'm always wondering like, yes, great, but it's like you wanting a 100-inch TV for free. Is everyone willing to pay for all the tech that they want if it was available tomorrow?
Well, what about the medical industries that will see a defect in your genetics and put epicrats into your system without you knowing and your viral defenses and stuff like that, just to study your hemoglobin and hematology without your awareness?
I think we have one last question. Yeah.
Thank you. One of the points that was made was about engaging with people involved in the industry to be aware of the future that's coming. I work in an industry where people don't believe that this is possible. One of the conversations we had about 12 months ago, I made a presentation in Malaysia, and they basically said, "You're talking garbage about automation of just simply the driving of the vehicle." How do you engage with people who don't want to know about what's coming?
Science party dreams.
Relate it back to what they care about. It could be about providing for their family or job security, or maybe they just want a promotion. Relate it back to their current wants and needs.
Alex, is automation really an issue for the workforce? Because we've been going through this already for hundreds of years. Okay, there's a car and the towards the car. There's always a whole series of jobs that are going, but we're not allowed to work. So doesn't the whole industry just change? There's a lot of reports coming out that going that the automation isn't going to have us all suddenly sitting there without jobs and everything. Because what's changed? What's supposedly different in the next 50 years than the last 200?
That is a great segue for our next speaker here. If anyone needs to take a break, let me know. Yeah, that's it from it. Our next speaker.